What would you want to eat if you came to Japan? Ramen, yakiniku, sushi, okonomiyaki? There's so much amazing food in Japan. But lately, there's been a surprising trend. More and more people from overseas are saying, high-end Japanese restaurants aren't actually that great. Wait, what? Why is that? In this video, we're going to take a closer look at how much a typical dinner costs in Japan, why some places are super expensive, even if they're not fancy, what exactly counts as a luxury restaurant in Japan, what it's really like inside those high-end spots, and tips to help you enjoy your meals while you're here. Watch till the end and make your trip to Japan even more delicious. Why don't people like Japanese fine dining? When travelers think of Japanese food, the most popular picks are usually ramen, yakiniku, sushi, and okonomiyaki. But here's the thing. In Japan, these are all considered casual, everyday foods. They're not usually seen as luxury meals. Of course, many visitors come to Japan hoping to try something truly high-end. But here's the catch. What you imagine as fine dining might be totally different from what Japanese people consider luxury cuisine. And that difference might leave you a little disappointed. The average cost of dinner in Japan. Let's break down the average cost of dinner in Japan by type of food. All prices are per person, and we're not including alcohol or other drinks. To make it easier to compare, I'll use US dollars. Of course, when you're actually in Japan, you'll be paying in yen. First up, ramen. On average, a bowl of ramen will cost you around 1,300 yen. That's about 10 US dollars. Lately, a few fancy ramen shops have popped up where a bowl can cost over $20, but those are pretty rare. Next up, sushi. The average price for sushi is around 3,500 yen per person. That's about 25 US dollars. When the price climbs past $70 per person, that's when you're entering the high-end sushi zone. But here's the thing. If it's your first time eating sushi in Japan, you might not really notice the difference between a $25 sushi meal and a $70 plus one. Actually, even many Japanese people can't really tell the difference. Now, let's talk about yakiniku. On average, a yakiniku meal costs around 5,000 yen, or about 35 US dollars per person. Once the price goes over $70 per person, it's considered a high-end place. At those fancy spots, you can try premium Japanese beef raised right here in Japan. And especially for visitors from the US or Europe, where beef has been part of the diet way longer than in Japan, Japanese Wagyu might just blow your mind. Now let's talk about tempura. Most Japanese people eat tempura at casual restaurants. In those places, the average cost is around 2,500 yen, or about 18 US dollars per person. But if you go to a tempura specialty restaurant, the price usually jumps to $50 or more. Yup, most tempura specialty spots are considered high-end. Still, if it's your first time trying tempura, you might not really notice what makes the fancy stuff so special. And honestly, you wouldn't be the only one. Last but not least, soba. The average price for soba is around 700 yen, or just 5 US dollars per person. You can also enjoy it with all kinds of toppings like tempura, beef, chicken. If you add toppings, the price usually goes up to around $7. And yes, there are high-end soba restaurants too. At those places, a bowl might cost around $15. Soba is super light and low in calories, so some travelers actually order 2 bowls at once, which of course means the price doubles. Just a heads up. So what do you think? Were you surprised by the average dinner prices in Japan? In Japan, the restaurant scene is actually built around the middle class, which means there are tons of great places that aren't fancy but still super tasty. So don't worry. You don't need to go to a luxury restaurant just to enjoy amazing food in Japan. Some areas are super expensive. In Japan, there are certain areas where food prices are way higher than usual. These places mainly target tourists, not locals. For example, Niseko in Hokkaido, Takayama in Gifu, parts of Ginza in Tokyo, certain areas in Kyoto, and some parts of Okinawa. In these areas, you'll see very few Japanese customers and tons of international tourists. That's why the food can be crazy expensive. Like, a meal that normally costs 1,000 yen in Tokyo might be 5,000 yen in one of these spots. But here's the thing, it's not fancy. It's just overpriced because of the location. This can also happen with specific restaurants, not just whole areas. Some places are clearly aimed at tourists and charge way more than they should. So of course, you'd want to eat somewhere delicious without breaking the bank, right? If that's the case, here's a tip. Try going where the locals go. Restaurants full of Japanese customers usually have great food at fair prices. And don't worry, in this video, I'll be showing you some super tasty spots that are totally affordable too. Stay tuned. High-end dishes through the eyes of Japanese people. What Japanese people consider luxury food might be totally different from what you imagine. So let's take a look at how Japanese people define high-end cuisine. First and foremost, it's all about the ingredients. In Japan, enjoying the natural flavor of the ingredients is considered the ultimate luxury. That's why chefs choose only the highest quality ingredients. Simple, but the best of the best. Take vegetables, for example. Japan has a rich farming culture, and different regions grow all kinds of unique produce. The quality of a vegetable depends on the local climate, natural water sources, and even the soil. All of that affects its flavor. When it comes to fish, freezing is a no-no. The idea is catch it in the morning, cook it that same day, and serve it fresh. And for meat, Japan has strict standards, and the quality varies hugely depending on where it's from. So, for a single dish, chefs might carefully source ingredients from all over Japan, looking for the perfect match to bring out the best flavors. Next up, how the food is prepared. Japanese fine dining isn't just about fancy plating, it's all about the process, and it's way more complex than it looks. Take something simple, like grilling meat. Even that might involve multiple cooking stages at different temperatures to get it just right. Even raw fish, yes, even sushi, can change completely depending on the type of fish and where on the fish it's sliced. Chefs even switch knives or cutting techniques based on that. In recent years, many casual restaurants in Japan have adopted the central kitchen system. That means most of the cooking happens in a factory, and the restaurant just finishes the final steps. In many cases, machines do most of the work. So, to make up for the lack of freshness or depth, the food is often heavily flavored with sauces or seasonings. But in high-end Japanese cuisine, it's the opposite. The goal is to use as little seasoning as possible and bring out the natural flavor of each ingredient. Professional chefs in Japan handle everything themselves, from sourcing the ingredients, to prepping, to finishing the dish. That's how they draw out the true taste of each element. And here's something super important about Japanese high-end food that might surprise you. The fancier it gets, the more subtle the flavors become. In Japan, luxury dining is all about enjoying the pure, natural taste of amazing ingredients without drowning them in heavy sauces or seasonings. But guess what? This is totally the opposite of fancy restaurants in many Western countries, where luxury often means rich, complex flavors and dramatic presentation. This difference might actually be the #1 reason some visitors leave thinking, wait, I spent all that money on a fancy Japanese dinner and it was just plain? Another cultural difference. In Japan, it's not considered classy to serve meals that leave you totally stuffed. This often surprises travelers, especially when they pay a lot of money and still leave the restaurant feeling kinda hungry. You might wonder, why did I pay so much and still not get full? Honestly, it's a hard thing to explain. But to Japanese people, quality matters more than quantity, and that's what makes something luxurious. How to enjoy a satisfying dinner in Japan. Of course, most travelers don't know all the ins and outs of dining in Japan, and sometimes people make reservations at expensive places, expecting a big, satisfying meal, only to end up disappointed. So, let me share a few tips to help you avoid that kind of mismatch. First, be careful with dinners that come included with your hotel stay, especially at fancy ryokan-style hotels with tatami rooms and hot springs. These often come with traditional luxury Japanese dinners, and yep, those are usually the kind of meals we talked about earlier. Super delicate, very light flavors, small portions, and focused on ingredient quality. If you're not prepared, you might feel a little underwhelmed, so it's actually a good idea to book your dinner separately from your accommodation. Another tip, be cautious with Japanese course-style dinners. They often include things like sushi or tempura, but the portions can be tiny, and the overall menu might not match your cravings. Japanese course meals are designed to highlight a variety of small dishes, so you might not get enough of the items you were really looking forward to. One last thing before we go. In Japan, leaving food on your plate is generally considered bad manners. Of course, if there's something you really don't like or can't eat, that's totally okay. But if you leave most of your meal untouched, it's seen as pretty disrespectful. You might be thinking, well, I paid for it, what's the problem? But in Japan, there's a long-standing tradition of being thankful for the life behind the food, whether it's vegetables, fish, or meat. And finishing your meal is a way to show that gratitude. Especially in high-end restaurants, chefs carefully choose and prepare each ingredient just for your meal. So when a customer doesn't eat it, the chef might feel like a life was taken for nothing. Of course, not every Japanese person thinks this way. But still, this is a big part of traditional Japanese culture. You came all the way to Japan, so we'd love for you to experience and appreciate this beautiful way of thinking too. So, what did you think? Today, we explored the world of Japanese dinners and why high-end meals might feel a little different. At Earth's Japan channel, we'll keep bringing you fun and helpful videos to help you fall even more in love with Japan. Bye. See you.